YTPC. Aristopoulos here. Down to the last wire. Being fashionably late with my VR response to Defiant Pipes concerning the sage advice. Looks like my first piece of sage advice will be to keep an eternal ember burning, which I seem to be unable to do. Copy. And the reason I'm so late is because I had to reckon with myself as to whether or not I was going to tell you a story. Story about something that happened to me a while back, but fits in nicely with my sage advice. But I'll save that for last. My first piece of sage advice may sound a little hokey because it's been around forever. Matter of fact, probably I don't think a piece of advice predates this one. It happened, the first time I heard it was so long ago, and that would be a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, oh, Drew, digging deep today. Well, maybe I think I am, because this particular piece of advice has universal applications, and I think it gets more profound, the older I get. It can be applied to just about any situation that you may find yourself in. And when I think about it, I'm reminded of all the times that I've watched Charlie Rose, a guy with, I don't know if any of you, if you know who he is, guy who has his own talk show. Oh, BBS. And usually late at night. My mom said that she's seen him sometimes in the afternoon. Either way, that's neither here nor there. He every once in a while he'll mention War and Peace, the book War and Peace, and he'll quickly follow that up with, you shouldn't read it before you're 30 because you won't understand it. Now, I've never read War and Peace, so I can't speak to the authenticity of that particular statement. But I definitely feel that the term "a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush" is a lot like that. It grows in its useful application as the years go by. So that's my first piece. My second piece would be point of view. I think an inability to put yourself in other people's shoes is probably the single biggest contributing factor to all the injustices of the world. I think it is exactly what Obi-Wan said it was in Star Wars. Many of the truths that you hold depend largely on your point of view. And while I'm talking about Star Wars, let's go ahead and draw that connection. What was really successful about the original trilogy was the presence of sage advice, and what the prequel trilogy didn't seem to have was sage advice. It had sage advice that seemed to be regurgitated from the original trilogy. But as far as having anything that stood on its own and made it memorable, it didn't have that. A few of you probably heard me mention Star Wars, unsubscribed, and got the hell out of Dodge. I probably would have too. So my second one would be understanding other people's points of view, being able to put yourself in their shoes before you respond too critical, too harshly, however. One final piece of sage advice, and that is, if you feel a sting down there, firing off a shot may not be the most intelligent thing you can do. I was not the most clear-thinking 16-year-old. But thanks to the urinary tract infection of 1987, I'm a wise man now. This is Aristopoulos. Keep an eternal ember burning. I can't believe I didn't include that as one of my pieces of sage. Anyway, see ya.